that's what I'm saying. Like the fact that you couldn't tell off the top of your head says enough. I think that they don't need to do these Apex cards because they can put anything in an arena and it's going to sell well. That's been made clear. The
Yeah.
fight night, uh, Vittori versus Cannoneer Dom, that was no, that wasn't that much better or worse than the card we went to in Columbus, and people were treating that place like it was the damn Super Bowl. They don't
They
have
have
to do
to.
the Apex cards. They just don't want to. They don't want to do. They don't. I don't know. Someone's not pulling the trigger. They could take all those Apex cards and put them anywhere. The,
Yeah.
I propose that they turn those Apex cards into like a version of Contender Series
Mm-hmm.
shows. The problem is they're not doing that, Dom. The
Mm-hmm.
Apex shows and the shows that they're taking, like, yeah, the shows they're taking on the road feel a little bit stronger, but not by much. Not to the point
Yeah.
where it's like noticeable for the
Yeah.
most part. That's my opinion. You
Yeah.
might disagree, but
I don't know what they do. There's no solution. They're gonna do it because they're saving money. You'd think they'd want to make more money by going and selling out arenas, but they clearly have to shell out money to do this. So it shows the Apex just is financially a move for them, I think, as a business, which is crazy when they could sell out any arena they wanted to.
welcome back, everybody, to the Below Average Joe's MMA show recap edition. Once again, I'm Noah Baker. I'm joined by Dominic Salee. We're here to talk about UFC Jacksonville, PFL 6, bunch of fight announcements, all that and more. Dominic, how are you doing? I know we had a very long intro right there talking about the state of the business, the state of the UFC. Got very deep on this intro today. How are you feeling though? Coming off a weekend.
Yeah, usually our off recording conversations somehow lead to some sort of funny chaos, and that's what you guys have been seeing, but not that one. That was like a business, just weird discussion there. But it was a good weekend. Good fights, I would suppose. It was definitely a busy weekend as well. Jacksonville, prelim, say what you want about it. Main card delivered for damn sure. Can't wait to talk about the PFL because I feel like I have a big bone to pick with them. And all in all, though, good weekend, Noah. I know you're feeling sudsy, which is such a damn shame. So I hope you start to feel better. But you're chugging along as you always do. You're in the studio because you give the people the good.
100%. I was putting in overtime performances on vacation. Here I am while I'm sick. I mean, nothing can keep me down.
Mm-hmm.
These people should be kissing my feet. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Just hit the sub button for the guy. Come on.
Yeah, my God. Can we get a third Joe up in here so I ain't gotta pull so much weight? My God. No, but it's good to be here, Dom. This is my escape. I don't feel so sudsy when I'm on here talking MMA. So with that, let's get into it. But I want to plug if you want to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, you can do so at the BAJ MMA. You can follow myself on Twitter or Instagram at Noah Baker MMA. You can follow Dominic on Twitter or Instagram at DSlee14. You can also listen to audio versions of the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Music at, is it considered Apple Music or Apple Podcasts? Like,
I
how's
think
that
it's like a
work?
separate thing. It's a separate app. I don't know.
I'm just going
Apple
to say Apple.
Podcasts.
We'll just say
Yeah,
Apple.
Apple. Yeah.
On Apple at the Below Average Joe's MMA show. If you would like to watch video versions of the podcast, you can do so on YouTube at the Below Average Joe's. Did I cover everything, Dominic?
You did.
UFC Jacksonville, we go, where Ilia Topuria gets a dominant, unanimous decision win over Josh Emmett. The scorecards for this one should be studied. You had a 50-44, a
Uh-huh.
50-42,
Mm-hmm.
and a 49-45.
Yeah.
Um, Crazy. And the headline says that there was a 10-7 round given by one of the
Yeah.
three judges in round 4 for Ilia Topuria. And I think that sort of, regardless if you agree with that, I think it sort of sets the tone for what we saw here,
Yeah.
Dominic.
Yeah.
Josh Emmett showed so much toughness. He was still in this fight in round 5, which is pretty crazy. But this was all Ilia Topuria from start to finish. He proved he belonged. He proved that minus 300 plus that he was going into this fight was warranted, and then some. And ultimately, he comes out looking like $1,000,000 here. It's going to be top 5 come Tuesday. What do you make of Ilia Tupuria's performance? I know you were a little more hesitant to buy into him at the price. Now coming off the other side here, what do you take away from this performance?
This guy's going to hold a belt. That's what I take away from this performance. Holy shit. I mean, I believed in the guy, but at the minus 345, I didn't. But he looked like a minus 1,000. It was insane. From the second the bell rang, that man controlled this fight against a very game opponent in Josh Emmett, his first test into top 5 waters. And he put on a masterful performance. One of the, if not the best performances that we've seen thus far in 2023, especially when you go to the upper echelon and the higher levels of MMA and especially the UFC. Quite a performance from a 26-year-old fighter. That's what's even crazier. He's not really close to those prime years yet that we see out of fighters. 14-0. What is it now? 6-0 in the UFC, I think. Unbelievable stuff that we're seeing from Topuria. Like I said, I was a believer, but not the same level that I am on this Monday morning when you guys are seeing this. And if you guys, there probably isn't anybody out there, but if there is that is not a believer, go watch the fight again, because he just showed the most high-level striking, IQ, defense, everything, man. It was just unbelievable. We saw him take big shots and keep churning forward. It didn't come easy, but he made it look easy, if that even makes sense. So I was blown away by this performance from Ilia Topuria. It was astonishing, really.
Yeah, some people are going to look at this. I saw some of the trolls come out and talk about how he couldn't finish a 38-year-old Emmett. Yair did it in 2 rounds. And I know they're just trolling, but I do want to say that even though he couldn't get the finish here, I thought he did. I thought, for one, it was masterful, but I thought he played it very smart as well. Dominic, you saw even in round 5, Josh Emmett was throwing heat.
His hands are so dangerous.
Even after being battered, he still had some speed to him, still had some power left to him. I thought Topuria played it very well. This was a beautiful display. I saw Chris Curtis even tweet about this.
Yep.
In the pocket defense is something that is, I don't want to say it's rare in MMA, but especially when you get to this level, not a ton of guys use in the pocket defense. If you are someone who really depends on your defense, you tend to be more of a rangy, use your reach, keep distance type. And for him, he's obviously not able to do that. He's a shorter statured, smaller reached featherweight. But Dominic, if he can do this, sort of has almost like a Dustin Poirier-esque movement in the pocket, then you're right. I do believe that this guy is a future champion. And I don't think that's much of a hot take at this point.
Yeah.
The only reason that someone may consider that a hot take is because the number one or one of the number I forget what a pound for pound ranking stand, but he's like 2 or 3 or whatever. But the longest reigning champion currently in the UFC is Alexander Volkanovski, and he's taken on Yair Rodriguez, International Fight Week, July 8th in the main event. I guess, Dominic, my question for you is Ilia Topuria get the winner of that fight? And I'll even go ahead and throw this out there just to kind of give away how I feel about it. Depending on who wins that matchup, is there a good chance that Ilia Topuria is competing for a vacant belt or some form of interim strap or whatever they want to do? Kind of where do you see him going next? Or is he really going to have to fight someone in this top 5 because, the championship fight's not till July?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I actually saw a lot of people saying he should get a title fight next. And I didn't necessarily lean a certain way immediately after. And then I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I feel like every account I saw was saying that he needs to fight for the title next. I did see one person, forget who it was, say him and Arnold Allen would be a cool fight as well, which it would be. It's a shame And now it's even more of a shame that I feel like Max Holloway's booked with the Zombie, because Max and Ilia would be very, very intriguing and enticing. But with the current state, those guys are booked up, right? And that's not till August. Ilia, I think I'd sign off on it. 6-0. You just beat Josh Emmett, who did just fight for the interim strap. I'm 100% fine with him fighting the winner of that. Now, if Yair were to win, assuming Volk stays at 145, they probably run that back. But if Volk wins, him and Volk is definitely intriguing. As Noah even hinted, maybe he goes up to 155 to fight Islam again. Then there's a vacant belt. Then yes, I still see Ilia fighting for some sort of gold next. I just think that was such a star-making performance. He represents the country of Georgia and Spain. Neither of those countries have ever had a champion. Strong relationship with Merab. I saw them have a nice little moment last night in the post-fight press conference and stuff going on. So I'm here for it. I think the UFC after last night maybe realized that they could be onto something special here with Ilia Topuria. Don't be surprised, people, if he's fighting for gold in his next fight at the end of the year.
Don't be surprised if it happens. Don't be surprised if it doesn't happen, is what I would say. Because I think there are situations here, there are routes where he clearly gets the next title shot. I also think there's routes where he sort of gets forced to take another fight.
Mm-hmm.
If Volkanovski beats Yair and decides that he wants to pursue that Islam fight again, whether it's an interim belt or a vacant belt, I believe Ilia will be in that title fight. If Yair Rodriguez wins and Volkanovski wants to take on that rematch, then I believe Ilia will have to fight someone else. Whether it's, I know Brian Ortega is being rumored right now with, I forget who he's being rumored with.
I just saw that too.
Yeah, but if it's someone like that, like I could see him being matched up or with an Arnold Allen, or was it Arnold Allen that was rumored?
It might have been that one. I just saw it. Yeah.
Regardless, I do think he would have to take another fight. If Volkanovski wins and then says, "Hey, I want to keep defending at featherweight," then I believe Ilia is also next. So, like, 3 scenarios there. 2 of them, I think, puts Ilia next.
Yeah.
If for some reason Yair were to win and Volkanovski decides he doesn't want the rematch and still for some reason wants to go to 155, then Ilia would also be next. So, like, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But, there is one big one that could happen, and we need to be prepared that Yair could win on July 8th. And if he does, I don't know what that does for Ilia's title chances. But inevitably, he will be there. I think it's going to be really hard to beat this guy. He showed what he can do. It does seem there is a way, like there is a route but unfortunately for a lot of these guys, Dominic, like Ajay Herbert had the perfect frame to give him trouble.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of guys at the top of this division
big as Jai
who match that.
Yeah.
But we do seem like the playbook's been written. So like a guy like Max Holloway, I think would be a very intriguing fight because I think Max could do a lot in that sort of matchup. But that's why even though I believe Ilia is a future champion, I do believe that he will be tested again here soon. And what's funny is I don't even know if Volkanovski is the toughest fight for him.
You think maybe it is a guy like Yair then, long and rangy, or guys
Yair
like Max?
or Max? I think those might be tougher fights for him than a Volkanovski. And that's what's kind of interesting is one of those 2 guys would be probably who he'd fight for a title before he'd fight Volkanovski. That's what's so crazy. It's like you would think, if he matches up fairly well with Volkanovski, who's been the champion so long, that's a good thing. But I don't even think he's going to end up fighting Volkanovski, if I'm being honest. So he's likely going to be fighting a Yair, a Max. That's not a fight I'm not even sure if I would favor him to win right now, being truthful.
If that scenario, that one of the 4 scenarios happens where he's not next for a title, would you want, like, if Max beats TKZ, is that the fight you want Ilia to have, or would you want him to fight like Ortega? Like, is there any of those guys that you would want to see him get that one last fight in before the title?
I mean, I guess Max, I don't, it don't matter. I mean, there's a lot of good matchups. He's a fresh face who has not fought most of these guys, so there's a lot of different directions you can go. I know him and Ortega was a matchup that they were trying to do for a while.
That's a tough comeback fight for Brian too. Oof.
Well, you're saying that like that's Brian's next fight, but I'm assuming Brian will have fought before then. That's what makes this hard to predict. Is a lot of these guys still need to fight.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it shakes up. But like Max would be a up there. He'd probably be the one I'd want to see the most.
Yeah, I agree.
With that, Dominic, let's move on to the rest of UFC Jacksonville. How about what a banger of a women's fight we got here in the co-main event?
Great fight.
Maycee Barber getting the TKO finish over Amanda Ribas. How did this one feel for you, Dominic? Again, you've been big fans of both of them.
Yeah.
Through at different points in her career. Feels like you were a little hotter on Amanda Ribas than Maycee Barber coming in here. Amanda does what she does, where she fights with a lot of heart, keeps moving forward, sort of forces her opponents into a dogfight. But she may have just bit off a little bit more than she could chew here against Maycee Barber. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm going to start quickly with Amanda just because that was who I was higher on going into the fight. The experiment has ran its course for now. You're 1-2 at 125. Granted, it's not like you got, yes, she got finished in this fight, but she was there. It was a competitive, just great fight that she had with Maycee. She had a split decision, razor close loss to Caitlin Jukagian, and then she beat Viviani. But all in all, I still think 115 is the weight class for her. Hopefully she can go back down there in her next fight. That's what I would like to see from Amanda because I'm still a believer in her. Maycee Barber, wow. Fuck the razor close split decisions that people think you lost. She went in there, kill or be killed, and got a fantastic finish. Still only 25 years old. 5-fight winning streak now. Wow. This was the definition of a statement win, in my opinion, for someone that is looking to like clear the cloudiness over some of their fights that they've had, especially during this win streak of Maycee. This is such a great entrance into that top 10. And with that type of performance, I feel puts her one win away from finally getting to that title shot that she feels like she has always wanted and that she believes she will be a champion one day. Alexa Grasso is a loss that she wants to get back. Yes, that means Alexa would have to beat Valentina again, but that's still a built-in rematch potentially for the future. No pun intended on Maycee's nickname, by the way. This was a huge, very much needed performance for the career and standing of Maycee Barber.
So, am I hearing you clearly? You're back on the Maycee Barber train.
I am back on Maycee Barber. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. I know this was a great fight, but I thought this was mostly dominant for Maycee Barber. I mean, Amanda Ribas had moments in the second round. She sort of bloodied up Barber because of a couple good shots. But let's be clear, this was an ass beating. I mean, Maycee Barber.
The damage was.
Yeah, I mean, she was beating the shit out of Amanda Ribas. When Ribas was going for those knee bars or whatever in round one,
yeah.
Maycee made her pay. Then in round two, Amanda kept trying to make it a firefight, and Maycee is just a more technical, more powerful striker.
Yeah,
stronger. And Amanda Ribas does not have a lot of striking defense. We saw it against, especially when she gets hurt. When she gets hurt, she has her hands drop. She tries to go for she tries to reach around and grab you and clinch you up, and that's where she just leaves herself wide open.
Yeah.
It was a great performance for Maycee Barber. I don't know if it matters with Amanda Ribas if it's 115 or 125. I believe she does better at 115, but truthfully, Dom, I think this is kind of who she is. I think she's a great fighter. I think she's very fun. She brings out the best out of a lot of her opponents, which I don't know what that says, where, her opponents seem to fight up to her. But, I just don't really see her as like a legitimate title threat or legitimate top 5 level fighter in either division. I think she's just a very tough test and a very good fighter that unfortunately these kind of showings where you're getting kind of pummeled and then knocked out, I could see that happening to her a couple more times because that's just the way she fights.
Yeah. There has to be polishes in the defensive part for sure if she wants to find sustained
Yeah,
success.
it's not going to happen, I don't think either, because we saw what happened the first time this happened to her. She's not made that improvement,
Yeah.
and now here she is, what, 3 years from that, getting knocked out in similar fashion. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you want to hope for her to improve on it, but I think this is just who she is.
Yeah, and there's great strikers at 115 ahead of her. Marina's still there. You have Andrade, who's powerful. You have Lemos. You have Yan Xiaonan, Rose. Like, all of them are good strikers, so she would have to make drastic improvements. The fuck, like, I don't know who Maycee wants. I don't know who I want Maycee to fight, but she needs, I think, one more win and she's in. Like, truthfully, because the UFC's always wanted to capitalize on this, and now they truthfully can with the resume and the win streak. I would have loved for after this performance for Maycee to fight Andrade, but damn it, Andrade just can't sit on the couch ever because she's already booked to fight again on August 5th. And a lot of these other girls are booked because Erin and Taila, we're going to talk about Manon, Fiorot, we're going to talk about Valentina and Alexa. We're going to talk about. I could see a world where this might sound crazy. Maycee might get the loser of Grasso Valentina as her next fight.
So you've really changed on Maycee Barber after this fight.
I think she's going to be pushed very quickly now.
So you think she's one away from a title fight?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy. I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't like Amanda. I thought it was a great performance, a great win against a good opponent, but I don't think a win over Amanda Ribas is really the win that catapults you into the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Maybe the UFC want to capitalize, but they've really kind of pushed her pretty slow, I feel like.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll make the point maybe that they are doing that because she hadn't really, had this kind of win. But I don't know, Dom. I feel like her taking on like a Lauren Murphy or a Jennifer Maya.
That's what she's going to get, I would imagine. Yeah.
Right. That's what I think. And then I think with the win there, then you put her up against a loser of Taila Santos, Erin Blanchfield, or the loser of Rose and Manon Fior, or someone like that,
Mm-hmm.
And then if she's really ready for prime time, she wins that, and then she's in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think now I will say she will challenge for a title one day.
Wow. Yeah, I'm still not sold. I'm not sold to that extent. I think that this is a lot of the feelings are very fresh because this just happened. But I think the sport moves so fast. This is more from the matchmaking perspective, not your opinion on her fighting for a title. Like right now, I think a lot of people feel how you do, where it's like, dude, she could get matched up with like a title eliminator next. I think time will go by, and then they'll end up matching her up pretty realistically with where she's at right
It'll
now.
100% be like Lauren Murphy. I already know.
No, I'm not convinced that she's going to be fighting for a title soon, because you just look at who's at the top of this division. I just don't know who I would favor her to win against. Now, could she improve even more in the next couple of years?
That's what's intriguing.
To make that more of a realistic possibility, yes. Hey, if you told me that she was going to move up to 135 pounds, maybe I'd be like, okay, maybe she can be a champion.
If Erin ate, maybe Maycee should. Yeah, no shit.
Because I just don't see her. I don't see how she matches up well against a Grasso, a Shevchenko, a Fior, Santos, a Blanchfield. I don't think any of those are very winnable matchups for her.
Yeah. Oh man.
She's got power, Dom, but let's not forget the run she was just on was good. But this one performance, I don't think erases who, it's a great performance that we can admit that Amanda Ribas is likely brought out of everybody that she fights. Let's not forget where she was a fight ago, where you were kind of done with her.
Yeah.
And a lot of people felt that way. She had questionable decisions and whatnot. She's good, and I think this was a great win to show that. And I had really not fallen off that belief in her ability, but my belief in her only goes so far. And it's kind of going to be like another fight from now. I feel like she's one of those outside the top 5 looking in. That's kind of her ceiling right now, I feel like.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's fair. I'm excited. 25 years old.
That's good to be excited. I'm glad to see you back, Dom. I mean, you went from Friday, you're like, honestly, throw her in the trash. Like, you were like, just throw her in the garbage. And then today you're like, dude, I think she's gonna fight for a belt.
I know. I feel like I had the most casual reaction I've ever had on this podcast ever just now. But
I think it's fun though, because I think it's fun to have that kind of flip on somebody for one fight. I think that shows the kind of impact this fight made on you. Like, it was a great fight.
Low key, they should have. Well, there's one fight on the prelims that maybe should have got the fight of the night, but they were second coming. The main event shouldn't have got fight of the night. Anyway.
Wait, the main event got fight of the night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Yeah, Morriscow and Pete got fucked. But
anyways, Dom, let's talk about the rest of this card. I know that's already what we're doing, but finishes were hard to come by on this card.
Yeah.
We did have 3 more. I'll kind of list them off, and I'll get your thoughts on any of them you want to talk about. David Onama, second round knockout of Gabriel Santos.
Yeah.
Brendan Allen with the first round submission over Bruno Silva.
Yeah.
And Matosh Rebecki with the second round TKO over Loic Radzhabov. All these particularly in pretty highlight reel fashion. Kind of any thoughts on any of those finishes on the card?
Well, I mean, it always has been and always will be Mr. David Onama. Gosh, yeah, I just love this guy, man. I love watching this guy fight. It didn't come easy, which, I guess I shouldn't have been expecting it to be any other way because no fight's been easy for David Onama so far in 5 UFC fights. But yeah, if you don't like watching this guy fight, you're crazy. Still, defensive flaws are there that Noah talked about on Friday. A little bit more polished, though. He had very good transitions and whatnot in the grappling. Gabriel Santos, maybe the best 0-2 fighter in the UFC right now, by the way, if that matters.
Yeah, easily.
But Onama, man, like we said, from an offensive standpoint, you can't sleep on this guy. Yes, he has knockout power, and he's likely going to finish you that way, but he's very sound offensively. It's just defensively there are discrepancies in the striking and a little bit in the grappling where I'd like to see those improvements for him to really take the next step. But still, another young guy, only 29. I really love this guy. It was a one-punch, brutal uppercut knockout. That was a come-from-behind win. Hit me.
I can't believe you're coming on this show and defending the actions of David Onama. That post-fight celebration was cringe as fuck. And I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to stand for it.
Inspiration.
No. Come up with your own shit, David Onama. I thought it was such a great knockout, and he ruined it with the damn spears shooting into Gabe Santos, which he didn't stop as soon as Gabe Santos looked at him. Completely ruined the moment for me. And I can't
violence.
believe...
I'm going to need a new shirt with David Onama.
Hell no. They just made a Zuckerberg Musk shirt, so they don't have time for David Onama shirts. So
now I can't get any more there. I'm just kidding.
Sorry. So sorry to tell you, but yeah, David Onama is kind of on my shit list now because of that. I mean, just a whack way, just whack as hell. And I can't believe you're on here defending him.
He's just inspired by greatness of Izzy. That's all it is.
Okay.
And then my other dude, Brendan Allen, got a fucking incredible knockout submission. By the way, guys, the win streak that Brendan Allen on, he's getting better and better each fight, and he's entering his prime, I think, a little bit early at 27, but he's doing the best fighting that he's ever done right now, and I think it's going a long way. This one also didn't come easy against Bruno Silva because he had to take some shots, but he looked pretty good on the striking, and then his submission game. The prop of the week was always Brendan Allen by submission. I feel silly for not even sprinkling on it. It was always there. This was an amazing performance by him. He really continues to get better and better with each fight, and I love it. In this weight class of 185, it's not very deep, so I like the potential here. I'm not saying he's going to fight for a title soon, but if he keeps getting better and better like this, it was quite a performance, man. It was just violent. It was a great fight as well. The main card was really, really good. The prelims were pretty bad, but the main card made up for it, I think, in my opinion.
Do you think Brendan Allen earned the kind of fight that he was calling for? Like,
That was a little high
if
up.
Dricus were to lose or Jared Cannonier, apparently he hinted after the fact that Jared Cannonier actually may have something in the works. And Dominic, apparently it might be Hamzat.
Oh boy, that's interesting. I still think that's a little bit high, but if Dricus were to lose, that makes a little bit more sense.
That seems like
maybe.
a great fight.
Yeah,
But
I like that
obviously,
a
if
lot.
Dricus wins, that changes things. I don't think it sounded crazy at first, but when you look at where he is in the rankings and stuff, like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't blame him for calling a shot. At the end of the day.
Oh no, you got to. You're on ABC. I mean,
but he's an exciting guy, man. I like Brendan Allen a lot. He's fun to watch, and to do that to Bruno Silva, like, I mean, yes, it ended up being a submission win, but he
struck
dropped him with the feet.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I thought for sure that these two guys had one Achilles heel over the other.
That's why you put the bet in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was nervous there for a second.
Dude, I thought Brendan was going to get the TKO too. Yeah.
Yeah, overall, the main card definitely delivered. Prelims, they were tough.
They were tough.
Jack Jenkins, Jamal Emmers was a pretty good fight.
Mm-hmm.
Questionable decision there, but for my bet, Jack Jenkins, whatever, I'll take it.
And Chepe Mariscal.
Yeah, Chepe Mariscal and Trevor Peek was a very fun fight. Two guys that don't know how long they'll last in the UFC, but they definitely went to war here for sure. But yeah, Dominic, I think besides that, we'll move on to PFL.
Yes, drama.
So let's recap where we sit with the welterweights and the lightweights in the playoffs, Dominic. In the welterweight side of things, Magomed Karimov will be taking on Magomed Umaylatov.
God, if that's not intriguing.
That's an intriguing fight right there. A little
We don't get many of those. Yeah.
And then Carlos Leal taking on Sadabo Sai, last season's champion.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on the lightweight side of things, Clay Collard taking on Shane Burgos.
Boo.
Oh,
boo.
Wow. Oh, already starting the Boo Birds.
Yeah,
and then
pissed.
Olivier Aubin Mercier taking on Bruno Miranda. Dominic, let's talk about it. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna tease you a little bit more.
That's fine.
It's like rearing up the bull. You just have to give it a second.
I'm doing my foot in the dirt right now.
Yeah, our main event, Olivier Aubin Mercier gets the third round knockout of Anthony Romero. What a bad man that dude is.
He's just so good.
Meanwhile, Dominic, Sadabo Sai with the knockout of the year. Reminded me of Uriah fucking Hall in The Ultimate Fighter. Gets the spinning wheel kick knockout of Shane Mitchell in the third round. What a finish.
You know what makes it better?
He
literally said going in that he felt confident he's going to win this fight, but he said he wanted a viral moment, and he goes out and does that. Are you kidding?
Good for him.
Dude?
He's kind of that's been the one thing kind of missing him so far.
Yeah, the decisions, from the previous years.
Now he's kind of known as a clinch heavy guy, but he's looked damn good this season.
Yes.
Coming off, I think the confidence boost of winning it all has been big for him.
Mm-hmm.
And also Dominic Shane Burgos got on the win column. Do not boo yet. Just let's give some respect.
Nothing against Shane. Believe
dominant decision win over Yamato Nishikawa. All right, we know what the big story is here, though, Dominic.
Yep.
On your prelims, you had a fight between Natan Schultz and Rosh Manfio. Natan Schultz wins a unanimous decision. I think we could all say it was the worst fight of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty terrible fight. And then when you learn that these two guys they train together, they're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Manfio's Schultz is the godfather of Manfio's child.
Yep.
It looked strange. Then the PFL comes out the day after.
These motherfuckers.
And they say they are suspending Schultz and Manfio.
Yeah.
For I believe the verbiage they used was something along the lines of
you want to word for word it here? Yeah. I saved this picture here. PFL statement. Last night, Natan Schultz and Raush Manfio did not meet the standard which all PFL fighters agreed to uphold in competition. All fighters in their PFL fight agreements agree to use their best efforts, skills, and abilities as a professional athlete to compete and defeat any opponent, end quote. It was very clear that Natan and Raush did not meet the contractual standard in yesterday's bout. PFL immediately suspended both fighters from the season and deemed to have 0 points for purpose of league standings. And that's when they got Shane in. So that was their official statement by the PFL.
So because of that, Shane Burgos, the big free agent signing, was pushed into the playoffs in the spot of Natan Schultz. So I'm going to let Dominic give his opinion on the matter because he was very vocal when I introduced it.
All right, Noah. So this is listen, first and foremost, I'm not going to sit here and say that Natan Schultz and Raush Manfio was a good fight because it wasn't. It was far from, right? But this little bullshit statement by the PFL, oh, they didn't hold up to our standards, blah, 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 blah. Get the fuck out of here, man. You guys are the ones that put this fight together knowing the circumstances between these two fighters. These two did not need to fight each other in order to get into the playoffs. Both were 1-0 and both had a chance to get in. Mix the fights up to where one of them fights somebody else. You have 10 fucking fighters in this division that are fighting to get into the playoffs. And you guys put this fight together. Natan Schultz wins, whatever you say about that fight, I'm not going to hold anything against anybody against this fight. But let us not forget, he also beat Stevie Ray. He went 2-0 this season. I love Shane Burgos and have nothing against him, but he went 1-0 and had a decision win that, yes, I guess was a better fight than what this one was. But, I mean, not by that much. I mean, Shane Burgos is a wrestler now all of a sudden. Like, this is the biggest bullshit. People are saying that Natan Schultz and Raush fixed this fight. No, they didn't. They didn't fix the fight. They're training. They didn't want this fight, but they were forced to do it. And yet, so you're punishing them already by making this fight as the PFL. And then you're going to punish Natan Schultz for going undefeated, earning his way in the way you guys made him do it. And you're going to take this opportunity away for him to change his life and win $1 million. A guy that's won 2 belts already for your organization. This is an absolute travesty for Natan Schultz. I don't know if he can take legal action because apparently this is in their contracts, but if he can, he should. It's absolutely ridiculous. The PFL put in their pretty boy free agent signing Shane Burgos when he had no reason being in. And don't get me wrong, now he gets to fight Clay Collard. As a fight fan, that's absolutely incredible. Can't wait to see it. But Shane Burgos should not be in. Natan Schultz should be in. This is nobody's fault but the PFL's. It always was when they knew going in, this is what is a possibility to happen, and they chose to do it anyway. And then they turn it on these fighters afterward. Gross.
I'm so conflicted on this, Dominic, because for one, we can only go off of the information we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm sure if there were certain information given in this statement, you may not have the reaction you just had. Like, this is the stuff I've been thinking about off recording.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, what was going on here? Like, this is crazy, first off, to suspend fighters for not holding the kind of fight that you deem like worthy of advancement.
Never heard of this rule ever before.
Crazy, because I've seen some pretty bad fights in your playoffs.
Yes. Yeah.
Regardless, it's a slippery slope because you make this decision here, who's to say the PFL doesn't just decide whenever they want that they can just remove somebody and put in somebody who they prefer. This is why this whole playoff system or this tournament system they have set up, Dom, it's really not a tournament. It's a playoff system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a regular season playoff system. But Dominic, I mean, have you noticed that there's not brackets like until the playoffs?
The regular season. They make what they want. Yeah.
So have you? And I found it strange to begin with that pretty much every card, when it comes to the second half of the season, they match up a winning fighter, a guy who's 1-0, and a guy who's 0-1 usually.
Mm-hmm.
And did you notice that Rosh Manfio and Natan Schultz were both 1-0, and Shane
Yes.
Burgos and his opponent were both 0-1?
Exactly.
I think there's a if the PFL can go so far as to do this, assume this much about their two fighters, that they remove one of them from the rankings, and I think I have the right to assume that the PFL sort of set this up to begin with. This comes off very much promotional malpractice.
Very true.
You wanted
They were
your big
always
free
gonna put
agent
Shane in.
signing. You wanted your big free agent signing in there, so
Yeah.
you put up two guys that you knew didn't want to fight each other, hoping that they would have a lackluster fight. And you were probably hoping Shane Burgos would have this big finish against a guy who had lost, and then you wouldn't have to do this workaround. But you did, whatever. Right. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that if we're gonna just assume things now, but if these two guys had like asked to fight each other, there may be a better argument here, Dom. I mean, this fight did look a little fixed to me. I'll be honest. Like it looked like these two guys sort of planned how this fight was going to go. They weren't really trying to hurt each other. It looked like they were sort of just having a sparring match, if that. So if they had like told the PFL, "Hey, we want to fight each other, and this is what happened," then maybe you have then there's an argument for it.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's still slippery slope. And that's why, again, you have to have more control over your matchups than that. It's one thing if you did an actual, like, if you did an actual tournament
bracket system,
you wouldn't have this issue. But since you don't, and you depend on matchmaking, this is what happens. And yeah, it's a really bad look for the PFL. Not only are you, even if it's not really what they're saying, even if this is all just a ploy to get Shane Burgos in the playoffs, Dom, you're sort of backhandedly telling the bookmakers that, hey, one of our fights were fixed. And this is a promotion in the PFL that just had the big issue with the pre-taped fights being promoted as live. We can't even bet on them in the state of Ohio, I think, stemming from that. And now you're adding this where you're sort of admitting. I mean, this comes off like you're admitting that a fight was fixed. It doesn't say that explicitly, but that's what I read it as when it said it. So don't think that the people that put the odds together for the PFL aren't looking at this and going, wow, okay, pull those lines. Pull those lines. We don't want any action on PFL. Too much shady shit going on over there. I don't know. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame. This all could have been avoided. It was so easy to avoid this. And now the PFL have to, they have built their grave and now they have to lie in it. So now if Shane Burgos does not end up winning this whole season, this is going to make them look pretty silly. And even if he does win, I mean, I don't know what's worse. If he wins the whole thing.
It might look worse that way. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Like, it is, I hate it because I like Shane Burgos a lot. Like, this is not.
I know.
Like, he's sort of being put in this role of like the promotions boy. And you just are like, it's like, I like Shane Burgos too much for that. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for Clay Collard. I think a lot of people are going to be rooting against the PFL here. And it's another, Dominic, this is the thing with the PFL I've been saying.
I know.
They get like 3 steps ahead and then they take 2 steps back. And overall, it's positive motion, but they could be just doing so much better than they are.
I know.
Something's missing from top to bottom. There's something missing in their corporate structure and the corporate ladder. There's some form of communication or some form of checks and balances that's just missing, and it's causing a lot of dysfunction at times.
Yeah, and I didn't want to come on here and like, I can't wait to hate on the PFL today, because if you go back in history and listen to our show and watch our show, you know how big of fans we are of this promotion and them being different. And we've called them as the number 2. They're better than Bellator. We enjoy it better. They do things more differently than Bellator. But then all this drama and shit that has went on, and we still got the playoffs and championships left to go this year. It is just such a shame because I want to see all of these promotions thrive and be legitimate competition and threats. But now stuff like this happens, and it's like, well, I don't know. Do I really want them to get Bellator under their banner now after this? Like, they just, like Noah said, it's 3 steps backward, and I would argue 3 steps forward, and I would argue 7 steps backward. The negatives are outweighing the positives, and the PFL has had some pretty big positives this year. It's a shame.
Yeah, so I guess to summarize my thoughts, overall, my knee-jerk reaction is to really hate on this, but I keep wondering if there's information we're just not being made privy to that may change my opinion somewhat. But on its surface, from what we know, very bad look.
Yeah. That's all you can say.
With that, Dominic, let's move on to the fight announcements. And we have a bunch more.
We've been getting some big fight announcement chunks, haven't we?
Yeah. A lot of them keep happening like right when we get done recording. So I guess we get done today. If we have another one, we know what's up.
Yeah.
Just going to go through the list per usual, Dominic. UFC Singapore added 2 pretty big fights. Erin Blanchfield taking on Taila Santos and likely a title eliminator there. Then, Dominic, the highly anticipated rematch between Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann. UFC Paris on September 2nd. We'll see Manon Fiorot take on a debuting 125 pounds Rose Namajunas.
Yeah.
And then September 16th, UFC Vegas is what I put on here, but it is the Mexican Independence card happening at it's not what's the arena?
It's at T-Mobile, the big one.
T-Mobile. I was about to say MGM Grand. I'm like, God, I'm so bad with arena names. Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko will have their highly anticipated rematch for the women's flyweight title, Dominic. A lot of women's flyweight action on this.
Don't you love it, man?
I do. The best women's division in the damn sport, people.
By far, yeah.
And Dominic, a lot of good ones here. What do you think?
So I'm going to say exactly what I said in the group chat. It sucks Erin Blanchfield is not getting the bantamweight title shot, right? That sucks. But her and Taila is awesome. It's already been booked and didn't get to happen in the past. Incredible fight. Winner gets in. I love it. I think it's I wish it was a main event. They're not going to be, obviously, because Max Holloway and TKZ, but that's okay. Smith Spann, didn't need to see it again. Don't know what the purpose of the rematch is, but, could be fun, at least, in the cage. Manon Fiorot and Rose Namajunas. Interesting. Man, that is intriguing. Hadn't heard nothing of Rose. We've talked about her semi recently on the show and how what is she going to do? She's been radio silent. And then, bam, 125-pound debut in Paris, which is where Manon's from. And that is a stylistically just beautiful, beautiful fight. I'm so excited for that. The rematch, Grasso Shevchenko, right? I mean, we weren't really expecting anything other than, and the first fight was really fun. It's a huge opportunity for Alexa on a Mexican Independence Day card that she's going to get to headline it. Looking like, not for sure, but looking like it's going to be a free fight night with the title at the top of the bill, which we don't see very often. I think Valentina was the one that did that last against Carmouche. So, do with that what you will, but I love all of it. The women's flyweight division, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, Dominic, I'll actually have to put that list together of title fights on fight nights. But the last one was Davison and Benavidez for the men's flyweight.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That would have been the last one. True.
Yep, that happened twice in 2020. But then
do you see a trend? Flyweight, by the way.
Flyweight. Yeah, I believe one time Joanna did it when she was strawweight champion way back in the day, maybe once or twice. But yeah, besides that, it's been
the last 3.
Well, there was that one time that Eddie Alvarez and RDA, wasn't that a fight night?
That was a tough card.
Tough finale.
I believe Demetrius Johnson, Tim Elliott was a fight night as well. Which
that was also a tough.
Yep.
Finale. Yep. So Okay, so I mean, that Eddie Alvarez RDA one sticks out.
Yeah, it
Lightweight
does.
division,
Mm-hmm.
like wow. Yeah, as far as these fight announcements go, I feel kind of silly because I was like I thought Erin Blanchfield was fighting for that bantamweight title. I thought that was a
A lot of
given.
people did. It felt, yeah. Wow.
I was like, wait, she wants that? I said, oh, the UFC are going to do that.
If she
Her
wants it,
versus
give it.
Juliana
Yeah.
Pena. But now I think what I think's happening, Dominic, is considering how the UFC have been doing lately, where they just do things that don't make a lot of sense. I feel like they were like, Erin Blanchfield, no, let's do you and like a co-main on a fight night with Taila Santos. We have our bantamweight title fight set up. It's going to be Juliana Pena taking on Holly Holm when she beats Byron Bueno Silva. So
I still think it's going to be Raquel Pennington, but
no,
it's going to be one of the two.
I think Holly Holm's taking on Juliana Pena if she wins.
All right.
Because the UFC love Holly Holm.
I know. And giving her title fights.
Love her. Now, Myra
Yeah.
Bueno Silva might win, and then you might get your highly anticipated Rocky Pennington, Juliana Pena title fight.
Yeah.
Anyways, Blanchfield, Taila Santos is a great fight, with that being said.
Damn.
It's an awesome fight. I am a little surprised that Blanchfield is having to take on another fight, but I did feel like when Alexa won, I kind of said, like, I felt like Blanchfield came off like the biggest loser in that. Not that she didn't mind. She even said after she beat Andrade, she's like, I'll fight whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And usually if you say whatever the UFC wants to do, then be prepared to fight. But it's a great fight in Singapore. I like it. Put it in front of a crowd, Anthony Smith, Ryan Spann, I made fun of it in a group chat because they literally main evented a fight night like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a fun fight.
The fight's fun, yeah.
Anthony Smith won it in the first round with a submission.
And they had that little, like, remember he kind of, like, pushed Ryan afterward and got in his face, too.
Yeah, there was something weird with that fight. I feel like Anthony Smith, he said, because Ryan Spann they both seem like pretty good guys.
Yeah.
Although our audience keeps trying to tell us that Anthony Smith is the worst.
The worst guy in the world.
Yeah, so I feel like we just have blinders. Because people keep trying to tell us that he's not. I'm excited for it. I think I'm glad it's not a main event. Put it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think it's perfect as like a feature prelim.
That's a good 3.
It's a really solid top 3.
Like
that I think if the UFC could do that once a month on their fight
nights,
I think that'd be great. One out of every 3 fight nights have that kind of Max TKZ, Blanchfield, Santos, Smith, Spann.
Yes.
Then you could do mostly contender series or whatever you want to do.
We're not asking for a lot, right, Noah?
Rose going to 125 pounds.
Oh,
Intriguing.
Intriguing.
I haven't really considered it either because, she's been so synonymous with strawweight. 2-time champion.
Yeah.
I really assumed that she would come back to that division. I don't dislike it, though. Like, I think that there is a chance this could go well for her. Tough way to find out, though. Manon Fiorot. Manon Fiorot is a very good striker, but I do think Rose has the full game. This could be kind of that, Dominic, how Rose is, where she comes off of a pretty lackluster showing that has people questioning what she has left. Then she's going to show out here. That could really
look
be
unreal.
what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And Grasso Shevchenko, I figured this was the main event for this card when they announced it. Glad to see that's what they're doing. If it does end up being a fight night or a pay-per-view, it doesn't matter. It'd be cool either way. But looks like they're really going all out for it, even if it's a fight night.
And I'm glad they are. They deserve it. The Mexican talent right now deserves it too.
Yeah. And with that, we will move on to Blazin Bets, Dominic. Dominic adds another one to the scoreboard. He inches closer. I'm now up 4-3.
Yeah.
Dominic, I ended up this weekend minus 0.09 units. So basically a break-even week. Dominic, what did you end up as?
Plus 2.61. So 3 straight green weeks for me. I mean, competition aside, I just want to be a good, profitable UFC or MMA bettor. And I needed these 3 weeks for my mental state, my financial state. So it just feels good, to obviously win in the competition. But more importantly for me personally is just to continue having good streaks of bets and good looks here.
Yeah, people don't care. The
I know.
competition is what matters here. And
I
let's
know.
be honest. I mean, there's no asterisks. Remember, no asterisks to any of your wins so far. There was the 1 week where I couldn't bet, but no asterisks.
Right.
And I mean, I do believe if you do win, you might want to send a personal thank you to Austin Lane. Maybe just say, "Hey, man, thanks for shoving 4 fingers into
Dude,
Justin Taffa's eye."
I don't like watching eye pokes, but when they're like that, oh god, I can't even look at the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know that fight was probably ending in like 30 seconds, anyways. But
Yeah.
you might want to, or maybe you should send a thank you to Big Dan Mergliotta for not rolling in a DQ because that was a pretty
Dude.
egregious foul.
Mm.
I don't know what that would have made my standing at the end, but pretty sure it would have changed the scope. So you might want to send a thank you to those 2 individuals, Dom.
Will do. Some would say I already have the script written for my thank you letter.
Yeah, I would not blame you. I think that would be the right thing to do. I can see you dancing around the fact, but you're excited right now that you are 1 away. You've been
Genuinely, I mean, I'm more excited about me just betting good. True, I like
Dominic.
literally.
Nobody cares about that.
I don't
Nobody
care what the
cares,
people think. I care about me being a good better
and
and
that's
letting people know that
why.
I
And
know
that's
what the fuck I'm
why.
talking about.
That's why by the end of the year you're gonna be eating fucking hot wings because you don't care what the people think. That's gonna come back to bite you, Dom.
I bet for me, people. I'm sorry.
I'm a
I
man
bet
of the
for me.
people. I'm a man of the people.
I,
Anyways, closing statements. The point of the show where me and Dominic can talk about anything and everything, MMA related or not. Dominic, do you have anything to send us off into the week?
no. Well, I got to see history actually. So I will say that really quick. Friday night, I was able to be at the Reds game, and Ellie De La Cruz hit for the cycle. And the Reds hit 12 wins. They obviously lost on Saturday. I don't know what they're going to happen today on Sunday, but I got to witness that in person, which was very, very cool. I feel like every game I've ever been to, the Reds have lost, and nothing really cool has happened besides getting a La Rosa's pizza out of it when they get 11 strikeouts. So it was very cool. And then we got to see Quinn 92 in a post game concert there at Great American Ballpark. And I'll tell you, I didn't really know much of his music or much about the guy. But to me, if you can perform good live, it says a lot about you as an artist. And he was unbelievably good. His voice and everything was great. It was a great show. He did like his full set list, like 16, 17 songs. So shout out to Quinn 92 and shout out to Ellie De La Cruz. It was a fun Friday night.
I'm glad to hear it. I had family members go to the game yesterday, and unfortunately, that's when they lost. So,
Yeah.
but it looked like there was a ton of people I knew at that game that you were
Back-to-back
at. I was like,
sellouts,
wow.
too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Glad to see the Reds are doing well. Bengals doing well. Cincinnati, let the people
It's a
know.
sports city, some would
It's
say.
that meme. Let the people know we back up.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
My name's Noah Baker. That's Dominic Slee. We are but just 2 of the below average Joes, and we'll see you guys on Friday.